Hey folks, Pat here from DNS. This Madison area fishing report is current as of January 12th. Well, sorry about the lateness of this post here. It's just been kind of a chaotic morning with the snow and a couple technical difficulties here. But yeah, we're up and running now. And I guess with ice season fast approaching here finally, I'm going to start doing my little disclaimer at the beginning of my reports. So that goes a little something like this. I want to stress that this report is for current conditions as of today's date. Many factors can cause ice conditions to vary, so please be careful no matter where you fish. For up-to-date ice conditions, please feel free to call the shop at 608-241-4225, and we'll tell you what we're hearing around town. I guess before we get into the actual report, just a couple quick things. If you have a lake access permit, a Dane County lake access permit, you're going to need to renew that. It expired on the 31st of December. I'm on the ice fishing page here because even if you're ice fishing and you park at a boat launch, you're going to need to have this permit on there. So you can go online here, purchase the permit. You can go to they have a bunch of kiosks at different properties around town. So they got that listed online here. Some are spring and fall only, some are winter only. So you can find a place that way, but it's easy enough to just do online. Of course, you could go to the parks office too, I guess, if you wanted and get one there. But yeah, we don't have them here at the shop anymore, so it's all moved online. Otherwise, a little bit of shop news quick. Fisheries going on around town. We got one new poster here, but the Marshall Lions Ice Fishery Festival is on January 19th and 20th up there in Marshall. Looks like a pretty big event going 2 days, and lots of good prizes and stuff like that. Pretty standard ice fishery type deal. Otherwise, down on Lake Kashkonong, there's actually two fisheries going on the same day, Saturday, February 3rd. There's the North Country Icebreaker. They got some information here about where to sign up for that. Pretty standard stuff. Then this other one on Saturday the 3rd is actually a ladies only ice fishing tournament. So that's kind of cool. But pretty much all the same stuff: prize drawings, meat raffles, all the fun and games that go along with fisheries. So yeah, and if you have a fishery coming up or any type of event that you want to promote, you can put a poster up here in the shop. Just swing by and drop it off there. So yeah, with ice coming soon, ice safety is a big thing. Got these J ropes; they're great. Harness system for your towing your sled, but also in an emergency become a 30-foot towing rope. So those are really cool. And then of course you got spud bars and ice picks, but that's kind of essential stuff to have when you're dealing with potentially thin ice. Also wanted to mention I do have Uncle Kurt's ice flies in, and they are fantastic for catching panfish around the chain. So swing in and grab some of those. On the bait side of things, I mentioned this last week, but I do have smelt or schmelt, whichever way you want to pronounce it. I have it. So swing in and grab that. And then part of the delay this morning was my bait guy came in, and we finally got jumbo shiners. So got jumbo shiners in, ready to hit the ground running, or the ice running, I guess, once we get some. So yeah, wanted to just cover some of that stuff, and we can get to the report. On the weather side of things, weather is actually going to dictate a lot of the conversation today, because I'm going to be talking about what I heard all this last week. And of course, a lot of that involves open water and warmer temperatures. Now it's about to get bitter cold and we're going to have ice real quick. So, some of this isn't necessarily going to be super relevant, but we'll go through it anyway. It wasn't a very cold week here on the north side of Madison. We got 6 to 7 inches of snow on Tuesday and another 2 to 3 on Wednesday night, and we're getting dumped on as I'm recording this. But at least it finally feels like winter around here. I was curious about snowfall totals, and so I was looking for a resource online. I found this website, weatherstreet.com. It's a pretty cool thing. They got a tab here. Click on local weather. You can go on local area snow depth, and then you have you just enter your zip code, and you can brings up your area. Over here on this tab, you can go local snow depth, and it brings up a pretty detailed map of snow that we've been getting in the area. Looks like we got 10 inches in spots around here. Mount Horeb's getting pounded. They got 15 out that way. So that's kind of a cool thing if you're curious about local snow. But then if you're traveling somewhere across the state or somewhere they got snow depth pages, you click on this and it brings up a map of the United States. But you click on Wisconsin, brings up the Wisconsin state map. So you can see here in the southern part of the state we're getting pounded. But Eau Claire and Rice Lake, that looks like they don't have any snow on the ground. So anyway, kind of a cool tool, and I guess I thought I'd point that out to folks quick. But I guess continuing back with the weather report, it looks like we could get 10 inches from this storm or more. So I guess we'll see how that goes. The nice thing about not having any ice late in this season is that normally if we had say a couple inches out on Mendota, this ice or this snow would come down and insulate the ice and really hamper any future ice production. So with this cold coming in, I think things are going to lock up real quick, and we'll be in a good spot in just a few days here. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, the cold coming in says highs of hovering around 0 degrees for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, which should lock up most area waters, and we'll have fishable ice, and especially a lot of shallow protected areas, probably by Monday or Tuesday. I used to talk about launches, not going to do that anymore because they're all about to lock up. Generally around the chain, just like the last several weeks, we haven't had much in the way of ice to talk about, but it sounds like I said, that's going to change real quick. Folks, we've had a few folks getting out on the very sketchy ice on Cherokee last weekend, which I'll touch on a little more later. But otherwise, folks, fishing from shore have been getting walleye and pike, shallow, near shore, or from shore, with large fatheads. Chubs and shiners under a lighted slip bobber have generally been outproducing lures. I've heard about a few panfish reports here and there, but that's really about it around town. Area rivers are running a little high for their seasonal averages, and walleye action up there has been good. Like I said, we'll do a little more detail here on Cherokee because it's kind of a story, but it's been capped over for almost 2 weeks. But with the temps hovering around 30, it never was really able to make much ice, like I predicted in my last report. A couple guys were out there last weekend, but not very far, as there was only about 1.5 inches of ice. I did a news story with Channel 27 I posted earlier this week. That was a lot of fun. Thanks to them again for that opportunity. But since then, we got 6 to 7 inches of wet, heavy snow here on Tuesday. Most of that on Cherokee turned into slush, as did the 2 to 3 inches of snow we got Wednesday night. The snow falling today is, as far as I know, sticking up there. So we'll see how much insulation it does. But if that turns into slush and this upcoming cold comes through, we're going to have, we could have inches of ice up there overnight because, it's just going to lock right up. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But yeah, pretty excited to finally have some ice around here. 113 bridge is pretty much icy and not fishable, so not much to talk about there. On Mendota, I don't know if there's any ice anywhere on Lake Mendota. I know Marshall Park was wide open on Wednesday. Spring Arbor's, I'm sure, the same. So yeah, I don't know of any ice on Mendota, but folks, fishing from shore, we're getting fish down here to the University shoreline, Tenney Park, and the few people getting out in boats, we're getting fish in shallow areas too. Some good walleye action again. Live bait had been outproducing lures, but if you fish lures, work them really slow is really the main thing. Kind of the same deal down on Monona. The bite has remained good from the Yahara, where the Yahara dumps in, all the way down the shoreline here to the Monona Terrace. And most of the fish I've been hearing about have been coming out of the John Nolan Drive area. A few actually out of the triangles. Right now, I heard that the Monona Bay is capped over with ice. It's very thin, so I'm thinking it's going to be a similar situation there as what I was describing on Cherokee. So all this snow is going to fall on it and push that ice down, which will push water up and soak into the snow, hopefully turning that into a bunch of slush, which, with this cold, it's supposed to come in tomorrow, should lock right up, and we could have inches of ice to fish over there, maybe as soon as Monday. But definitely that's certainly not anything guaranteed. Over to Lake Wingra, same deal, skimmed over with ice right now. That heavy snow will come in, and hopefully that locks up pretty quick. Otherwise, like I said, I haven't heard of anything but open water. I did hear about a skim of ice across part of Turville Bay the other day, but I don't know where that's standing. But anyway, yeah, it won't be long for ice on a lot of the area lakes. Over here on Waubesa, with the Babcock launch being closed as of last week, I haven't heard about folks getting out in boats or anything. The panfish have moved up into upper mud here, and that's also one of the early spots to freeze over. So once that caps over, we should be rocking and rolling up there. That's a great early ice spot for sure. Same thing down in Kegonsa. Not much to report. Many folks launching boats. I should, of course, mention the ditches down here, Viking County Park, dog park down here, and that's definitely one of the first spots to ice over in this channel, and then out here in this little bay. So that should have ice real quick. And I actually drove by there, and there was ice and folks on it I guess that would have been Sunday last weekend. So yeah, folks have been out there, and yeah, that should be locked up here and pretty safe by the end of the weekend here. So, but yes, always use caution when you're out there. Otherwise, on Lake Koshkonong, haven't heard much on the lake itself. No ice, and they haven't really been able to launch boats out there. A lot of ice floating around, I think. But they have been getting walleyes from Black Hawk Island up through Fort Atkinson and up to the Jefferson Dam. Beaver Dam likely will ice over very quickly if it doesn't have ice already. That's a good walleye lake, and eater catfish up there has been good. Devil's Lake wasn't iced over as of earlier this week, but should be after this bitter cold comes in. As far as the river goes, I haven't heard much action on the river itself, but all the dams have been producing great walleye action. Size has been a bit of an issue, but real great numbers game. I hear about anywhere from 50 to 100 fish days from some folks that are out there. Lake Wisconsin hasn't been, I haven't heard a lot of reports out of there. It's been if you can get a boat out. Some of the launches like Sunset Bay over here have been frozen up a little bit here and there, so access has been difficult. Even the Fingers, over here in Harmony Grove have been, usually a great early ice spot. That's been not accessible, and I don't think anybody's been on the grade. But the folks getting out in boats were getting walleyes, good numbers, but again, size being a bit of an issue. Haven't heard anything in the river. The Wisconsin Dells Dam has been producing, good walleyes, as is Castle Rock and Peatwell dams. Kind of the same report as always this time of year. Those walleyes just stack up the dams and in deep holes. But yeah, dams are great places to target them. Haven't heard anything south of La Crosse as far as ice goes, but that's all going to change real quick with the cold coming in. Should get some good ice on some of the backwaters. And the backwaters up and down the Wisconsin River, can't forget about those. Some real good fishing to be had out there. But they have been on some ice north of La Crosse on some of the backwaters out there. So yeah, more ice to come, and fingers crossed that way. As far as action out here in Milwaukee, Browns and Steelhead are still up in the tributaries and the harbors out here on the East Coast. But this cold coming in is going to make access difficult. The next report I give from Milwaukee will probably be folks catching brown trout and steelhead through the ice in the harbors. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, that kind of does it for the area fishing report's a normal report. But on the trout side of things, of course, catch and release trout season is open. Being catch and release, you've got to let everything go, and only artificial lures can be used. But we had a fair amount of traffic on Saturday for the opener, and folks coming in since then. So folks are getting out, and it sounds like they're finding some good fish. That being said, I'm not going to encourage anyone to try trout fishing with these cold temperatures, at least for the next week. Besides the conditions being miserable with all the snow and you got to walk through and cold that you got to deal with, you're also damaging or harming the trout by taking them out of the water in these cold temperatures. So if the water's cold or weather's cold like this, maybe just give them a break till things warm up a bit. I'm sure we're not far away from that. But yeah, as far as our fly day feature, I said I was going to start talking about winter flies. I took a little informal survey on social media, and the winner of the best trout flies to use by most folks, they were saying streamers are what they like to run. So it's not my top pick, but streamers are a great option. Run these slow through a deep hole, can produce some really nice fish. I wouldn't strip them too much or give them too much action, because trout this time of year generally aren't in the mood to chase things down. But we've got a bunch of different streamer options, big ones, fishy looking ones, and smaller ones here at the shop. And it's wintertime, hard to beat a pink squirrel. You can run a pink squirrel as a dropper behind any one of these streamers, and you'll likely, do well on both flies. So yeah, happy fly day, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the report. Like I said, if you want current conditions, feel free to call the shop, 608-241-4225. Post your catches and comments below. Let us know how you're doing out there. Otherwise, yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we will talk next week. We'll probably have a lot of ice to talk about, so looking forward to that. Thanks so much.